We're asking, should white privilege be taught in schools? Let's start off by explaining what white privilege is. It is the idea that white people enjoy everyday benefits that other ethnicities don't. And it's all because of systemic racism. Now, this concept is back in the news after Education Secretary Nadine Zahawi warned that those who promote white privilege as fact, without balance or any opposing views, could risk pushing partisan politics onto pupils. His interpretation comes in response to a report by the Commons Education Select Committee, which said that teaching white privilege could be against the Equality Act. I'm joined by Albie Amankona, the CEO of and co-founder of Conservatives Against Racism for Equality, and Dr Rakib Ehsan, Research Fellow at the Henry Jackson Society. Right, so I'm going to start with Albie first. I want to ask you then, how would you define white privilege, and is it something that you feel that you have experienced?
I would probably define it in a similar way to how you've just described. I think that it is a concept which might accurately describe the situation that some ethnic minorities find themselves in, which maybe people in ethnic majorities do not find themselves in, and that can happen in a black majority country or a white majority country. But I believe that actually the term white privilege itself is far too divisive to be helpful, even if it might be accurate in some situations. I think we need to find a better way to start talking about things.
You've just described it. If you're in a white majority country, you're more likely to have things sort of skewed towards a white population, and same in a black population is a pretty good way to start. Now, Dr Rakib, I wanted to ask you then, with regard to white privilege, where you stand on this and what you think about it.
Well, for me, I think it's an incredibly divisive and simplistic concept, which overly racializes very complex forms of social and economic disadvantage. There's myriad of social and cultural factors which feed into forms of disadvantage in British society: family dynamics, community norms, cultural attitudes towards formal education, neighbourhood affluence or deprivation. It just shows that when we look at racial and ethnic disparities, there's a range of factors which feed into them. For me, I think the greatest advantage you can have in modern day British society is whether or not you belong to a stable family unit. And we know that compared to a number of ethnic minorities, what family levels of family breakdown in the white British mainstream is higher. There's also higher rates of loneliness among the elderly. So intergenerational cohesion tends to be stronger in South Asian minorities when compared to the white British mainstream. And I think those kind of social dynamics are overlooked when it comes to the concept of white privilege.